The Most Dangerous Game from 1932 is a classic to watch. It has been often remade because of its unique premise. At least for the time, it was a very novel idea. The film opens on a luxury yacht off the southern American coast. Renowned big game hunter and author Robert Rainsford discusses hunting with fellow passengers. He insists animals have no feelings and dismisses the notion of ever becoming prey himself. The captain warns of dangerous reefs and misleading navigation lights, but the owner ignores them. The ship runs aground, explodes and sinks. 3 passengers ultimately survive the initial wreck and cling to floating wreckage. They make it ashore to a remote island. Here they follow the sound of hounds to an imposing fortress, a restored ancient Portuguese chateau perched on a cliff, with Gothic doors, massive stone walls and a bronze and tower knocker. Inside, the villain, Count Zaroff, is introduced. He's an exiled Russian Cossack aristocrat who greets them and seems to be interested in helping them. He's presented as a refined human being. He plays the piano, wears a tuxedo, serves exquisite food and wine. He even admires Ransford to some degree as he is a fellow hunter. The other 2 characters that make it towards this castle with Ransford are Eve Trowbridge and her brother Martin. Eve is the typical female protagonist of the time, while her brother Martin is the comedic relief who's constantly drunk. While having dinner, Zaroff reveals his philosophy. Hunting animals has grown boring to him. The most dangerous game is hunting men. He actually engineers the shipwrecks and then hunts down the survivors. Before the hunt starts, Zaroff presents his trophy room, where human heads mounted on walls are preserved in formaldehyde. Martin is the first one to die, as he is drunk and simply oblivious to the danger that lurks inside of their castle. Zaroff gives Rainsford and Eve a 12-hour head start. Then the hunt begins. Rainsford tries to set up traps, conceals his tracks, and fights to survive. But ultimately he's cornered and falls into raging rapids below a cliff. Zaroff seems to triumph. With Eve as his trophy at his side, he returns to his castle. But Rainsford has survived. He deliberately jumped into the falls to deceive Zaroff and swims back, only to sneak into the castle to kill Zaroff and his henchmen. While his henchmen are actually dead, Zaroff is only mortally wounded. While Rainsford and Eve flee with the boat, a dying Zaroff staggers to a window, draws his bow, and attempts one last shot at him. He misses and then collapses backwards, falling from the window into the courtyard below, straight into the pack of his hounds, who tear him apart in a frenzy. The movie is actually based on a short story, and although movie and short story are pretty similar, there are a couple of details that were rendered for the film version. But in general, the film is not just an adventure action movie. Below the obvious storytelling level, it's a blueprint of power, hierarchy, and raw nature beneath civilization. Multiple layers repeat the same pattern. The elite set the rules, the masses obey, until they cross the boundary. Zaroff is an exiled Russian Cossack, a symbol of fallen nobility after a revolution, of foreign decadence and chaos. In the countless remakes that were made of this movie, the villain somewhat changes. In 1932 he was a Russian, but in 1945 he obviously becomes a Nazi. In the 1956 remake he's a hidden Nazi in exile, while in a remake from '61 he becomes an apolitical eccentric. In the newest remake from 2022 he's German again, this time a baron, but the essence of the story remains identical. Only the enemy image is updated, as Hollywood manufactures the most dangerous outsider according to the era. The villain is interchangeable, the structure endures. The powerful on the island hunts the intruders. The island itself lies off the map, and therefore is beyond any laws. This is a typical trope, and it's not just one that's used in stories. We have a very recent example of Jeffrey Epstein living on a private island where the rules of civilization don't seem to matter. Outside of these metaphorical private islands, we have what's called civilization, nowadays global megacities, of multicultural surveilled populations, where clear rules exist. The island itself is the counterspace to that. It's an isolated place of peace and solitude, and the only one who makes the rules here is the strongest of them all, the elitist. In the movie The Fortress, the restored Portuguese chateau on the cliff is the throne room of his kingdom. It is fortified, opulent, isolated, the seat of the sovereign predator. Trophy-lined halls and grand staircase signal ascent into a realm beyond ordinary morality. The chateau is the elite's private citadel, where the king reigns unchallenged. As Zaroff presents his philosophy, we get to understand that ordinary people like the protagonist Rainsford live under the illusion of civilization. There's a clear set of morality, equality, and laws that protect everyone, including the weak. The elite, though, have a different rule set, and that rule set is based on Darwinianism. For Zaroff, hunting humans is not just exciting, it's natural. He's the one who has grasped true human nature and acts accordingly. Hunting the weaker is only logical when only the fittest can survive. The always drunk side character Martin dies first among the visible victims. He's the personification of the typical normie, whose mind has been numbed by alcohol, cigars, and laughter. Zaroff even pours in more wine, as a metaphor on how the elite numb the masses. Martin, in his drunk mind, therefore sees nothing, neither intent, danger, or trap. He follows Zaroff into the trophy room and is killed. The alcohol has disarmed him, mentally and physically. He's easiest to kill, therefore not even deserving of a hunt. An interesting detail is a wall painting that's right behind the staircase in the castle. It shows a centaur hunt, where the hunter pursues the monster which is carrying a woman. This shows you that the woman is the prize, as she is being used by the one who survives the hunt for reproduction, the ultimate goal within the Davinian mindset. This is mirrored when Zaroff seems to have killed Rainsford and he takes Eve with him. It is implied that he now sees Eve as a trophy that he has won to do with her what he wants. But Zaroff's philosophy goes deeper. As he specifically states in the original story, the weak of the world were put here to give the strong pleasure. We can even see that today when the World Economic Forum calls billions of people living on planet Earth nothing but useless eaters. The elite doesn't see the majority of people actually as human. They only exist for the amusement of the superior, and they can be moved around like pieces in a game. This is also shown when Zaroff calls the hunt outdoor chess. To him, the hunt is a game, even if it's the hunt for man. It's a strong metaphor, as chess is seen as the game of kings, where specifically the pawns are disposable pieces, just like the normies, in the eye of the elites, in the game of life. The film ends with flight. Rainsford and Eve escape by boat, but Zaroff falls to his own hounds, which is moral judgment by nature. Zaroff has lost his own game, and therefore he was exposed by nature to not be the fittest, and therefore not being worth survival. The original short story from 1924 by Richard Connolly ends differently though. In the book, Rainsford kills Zaroff in his own bedroom, and then he lays down to sleep in his bed. Afterwards he says he had never slept in a better bed. This clearly shows that human nature is also part of Rainsford. The Davinian idea of the survival of the fittest has allowed him to sleep well, because after killing Zaroff, Rainsford becomes the fittest on the island. Therefore the bed of the king is now his. As the film gives us escape and a somewhat happy ending, the book shows us the corruption of the mind, where the hunted takes the place of the hunter once he has killed him. Survival of the fittest in the movie is a game that the elite play with the normies, but in the short story it's a game that we play within our own minds.